Greetings. Today I am going to be painting a card for a friend of mine that just feels the way she explained it to me, like she's just a boat out in the ocean with not knowing how she's going to get around. So I'm going to paint her a sailboat out in the ocean. And as I sketch this out, I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to make the boat look kind of small. I'm not going to put a lot of detail on the boat, but I want just to give you the idea of the boat in a big ocean, in a big world. I want to encourage her that even sometimes when we feel like we're out in the ocean or feel pretty alone in this big world, there is a wind that'll bring us to shore, and there's hope. So that's kind of what I want to do here, and I'm going to try to do this really loose, what's called a wash technique, and I'll come back with some ink to just highlight some of the details without really getting too technical. If you've seen a couple of my videos, you know I don't like to get really detailed with my stuff. I love, especially with watercolor, I love when the water does what it does, and then kind of just enhance what the water's put out there for me. But I put a little time into the sketch here. I've got a nice little sailboat, and look at the dimension of it. It's pretty small. And I'm going to make most of the painting is going to be the sky and the water. By doing that, it kind of gives it that idea. Once I write my greeting inside, it'll reference the idea of the bigness of the world and that we're not alone. That's kind of my idea behind this. So I'm using my lighter blue. I don't want to get too dark. I don't want the ocean to seem scary, so I'm using a lighter blue. And then I want the sky to look kind of hazy. That's why it's got a little green to it. And then what I love about watercolor is, if you notice here, I have the more than likely going to tap into that wet paper. So there's going to be an explosion of color when those two things hit. And this is the part where when other people that I talk to that try watercolor and they don't like it, is because of this part here, where you lose control of what the water and the paint do by itself. And that's actually one of the parts that I really like about watercolor. So I'm going to kind of actually enhance that feel. I'm going to add more water to it. But before I do that, let me put some yellow here, because I want to make sure that the yellow and the blue blend here. It doesn't. And what I like to do with the water here is just even if it dries a little bit, you add a little more water to it. It opens those pores of the paper up. And if you look at the paper here, it's got what appears to be some crevets. And it's just a cold pressed paper. And this type of paper is meant for watercolor. So you look at here, I've got the pen and ink. Now I bring in my ink to kind of bring out some of the details. And I put the paper away for a little bit, let it dry, and then I'll come back to it. So there's a little time lapse in this video. And like I said, I don't want to get too deep into the details. I don't want to get too, draw the person in there. It's more the gist of the boat in the ocean. People ask me why do I do these cards and why do I go through the trouble, and most of the times in today's world we'll look at a card and then put it away or throw it away, but I like to bring a smile to people's faces, you know. So this is just a small way that I get to reach out to somebody and tell them that somebody's out there that's thinking of them and cares, and they're not alone, even when they do feel like a sailboat out in the ocean with total reliance of the wind to do what it's supposed to do for you. That's kind of looking the way I want it to look. But I think I'm going to add a little more color on the second stage. Usually, it depends on the watercolor that I'm doing, but I'll normally give it 2 or 3 coats of something to kind of bring out a certain section if I want to really enhance a color or to make it pop. But overall, what I'm trying to do here is make sure that it kind of has that hazy feel. I don't want it to be too detailed. I want it to look to where you kind of have to, where it feels like if the boat's out in the ocean, you squint to look to see what's going on. And that's kind of what my hope for this one is. And a little of that color from the sail in the water as a reflection. If I was going to do this a lot more detailed, I would emphasize that reflection, or maybe even add, make it look a little bit like the boat. But I don't want to get too detailed with it. Just it's there. But look at the little details that the water does when it dries up. That section right there is just. Anytime I see somebody's watercolor painting, I look at that and I just love it. So I'm done here with this one. I'm going to sign it and then write my little greeting on the inside to my friend and encourage him. So just remember, for the big days, the small days, and all the in-betweens, keep greeting the world with grace and friendliness. Have a good day.